I'll be covering dictionary questions from easy exercises to more difficult exercises. I do believe I'm gonna get most of them correct, especially the easy exercises. But the difficult exercise I might struggle a bit too. So, I mean, we're gonna do these together. What I suggest is you also try to answer these questions because that's how you improve in Python. So I'll be doing the same. So the first question is, write a Python function update dictionary that modifies the attribute key of the dictionary D to have the value value. If the attribute key does not exist on the dictionary D, you would have to create it. So let's define our function. So define update dictionary. And if you're new to dictionaries, it sounds, I would say, relatively difficult if you don't know much, but it's as easy as saying the key is equal to value. So you're basically saying within the dictionary, if it has the key, so the one we're choosing, it should have the value value. When I'm saying it like this, it kind of sounds illogical, but if I return D and then print these, oh, it's false. I was kind of shocked as to how this is wrong. But yeah, it's correct now. I forgot to type the D. So the way it works is, let's focus on this. The second print statement, I think it's more helpful for you to understand. So all of these values are separated by commas. So the D for the dictionary, we have brand volvi, but it's basically saying for the key brand, make the value Audi. So then it's basically changing the dictionary so that brand is equal to Audi, which is what we have done here. So the key is equal to the value. And so it works like this. If the key exists, it changes the value to match the value. And if the key does not exist, it actually creates it. So if you read the question, it fulfills both of them at once. So we can just move on to the next question. Okay. So let's define our function as usual. And let's read it. Write a Python function is key present that returns true if a given key already exists in the dictionary D, and it's false otherwise. Okay, so this is super easy because if we use a for loop, it actually iterates over the keys. Be careful, because if you try to use a for loop, it actually does not iterate over the values. So the for loop mainly focuses on the keys. If you want to iterate over the values, you would have to adjust it accordingly. So we can just say our typical way of designing a for loop for I in D. For I in D. Hold on. Now that I realize we don't actually need a for loop here, if you thought of this before me, well done. We can actually, it can be simple. Then I suppose you could do it with a for loop, but when I read the question again, I realized there's an easier method. You can just say, if you can just use an if statement. So if K for key in D return true, else return false. So this should do the job. Let's check. I hope it's correct. Yeah, it is correct. Okay. So it's good that it was simpler than I thought. I don't think this is challenging at all. I suppose you understood it. I hope you did. Okay, so let's move on to the third question. Okay. Write a Python function powers n that generates a dictionary whereby the keys are number I between 1 and n, and the respective values are I to the power of 3. The dictionary entries are of the form I and then key value pair I cubed. So we can just define our function powers n. Well, we can use a for loop for I in range. So if you just write n, it's not gonna work because the for I in range typical loop actually doesn't include the last element. So let's say if it's for I in range 5, it's gonna stop after computing 4. But here we obviously want until that number, so we can say +1. But also the in range function starts from 0, but in our question we actually don't want that, so we can tell the in range function to start from 1 and then end at n plus 1. That way all of the numbers are going to be covered. Then we can say, or before that, of course we're dealing with dictionaries, so we should create an empty dictionary. I suggest you always create your empty dictionary using the dictionary built-in function, like that. Then we can say the I. Do we want the I in a string or integer? Yeah, as integer. So that's good. So the I is equal to I cubed. That's it, I think. Then we can return D. And let's check if it's true. Maybe it's not, but it is true. It is true. So what it does is, let's look at the example. So we have powers from 1 to 5. So it starts with 1, of course. Then it edits the dictionary. So there's a key value called 1, but then the value corresponding to the key is going to be I cubed. So you're going to have 1 paired with 1. Because, yeah, I mean, you can just continue applying this logic and then you're going to end up with the dictionary here, which is why our statement is true. So let's move to question number 4. Before that, I'll delete these print statements. Write a Python function minmax d that returns the minimum and maximum value in a dictionary. The result itself should be returned as a dictionary with keys maximum and minimum. Okay, so let's define minmax d. That returns the maximum and minimum value in a dictionary. So we're gonna have a dictionary already. Okay. I think there are a couple of ways of doing this, but currently I think a bit of a creative way. I don't really know if it's going to be true, but let's see. If not, it's going to be an experiment for us. I would say I would create a separate list. Would I? No. that takes the minimum and maximum value in a dictionary. I guess we can just say like maximum is equal to max of d dot values. So it only considers the values as a list. This is the built-in function. I was planning on doing the same in a I think for loop, but then I realized it wouldn't work. Then we can say mini, because max and min are just built-in functions, so I actually don't want to name these the same as the built-in functions. Then we can do the same, minimum, the built-in function, and then d dot values, actually another built-in function. So we're using two built-in functions to answer this question. Then we can say d, let's see the answers, which one it includes first. Minimum is equal to mini, and the maximum is equal to maxi. Okay, return the last. Let's see if it's going to be correct. It's false. Okay, so let's think more about it. So we have, oh, of course, I get, no. Yeah, I get it. We should have created a new dictionary. We can just say our new dictionary is DD, just for our second dictionary, or D2, better naming, I suppose, is just another dictionary. Then we just say D2 minimum, and then D2, and then we just return D2. Because I realized if we use D again, we're actually just adding on to the existing dictionary, and when we return the existing dictionary, it ends up not being what we want, so we want to create a new dictionary, and there you go. It's correct now. I hope it was clear. I hope you understood. Let's move on. Along comments, the print statements. Oh. Okay. This should be it. Okay. Write a Python function, count characters, string 1, that returns the frequency in which each character appears in a string 1. Note that uppercase and lowercase letters are different characters. Okay, so that's good actually. The fact that lowercase and uppercase are different is just easier for us. So we can just define our function as usual. Define count characters, string 1. Then we should just create another dictionary as usual. And then we can say for I in string 1, because we actually want to iterate over the string as a list. If I not in, so if that I value is not in our dictionary, we should say di, so that corresponding letter is equal to 1. And else, which would be I is in D, well, yeah, we don't need to specify that. We can just say di is equal to di plus 1, then it would just increment what we had before. So imagine we had an e appearing for the first time. It would say, well, it would add it to the dictionary, say the key value I is equal to 1. But then if it appears again, it would just go, okay, we had di, and then we had di value, which was 1, and then we just add on 1 to it if it appears again. So I think this should do the job, and then we can just say return d, and let's see if it's correct. And it is correct. So yeah, that works. I hope it was clear. Let's see how many questions are left. 6, 7, and 8. Okay. Let's uncomment them as usual. All right. Write a Python function merge dictionaries that merges 2 dictionaries and returns the result. All right, I would say this is quite tricky. At the very least, it is for me. But let's give it a shot. So define merge okay. Then as usual, I mean, at this point, I bet you noticed there's a pattern in most of these questions. You do want to create another new dictionary to edit, add, or remove your values from the other dictionaries, so it's easier to manage. And therefore, in this way, actually, you're not editing the dictionaries you're using, so because they could be useful for the future. Okay, so we have to merge these dictionaries, which is quite tricky, but we can actually use a similar method in the previous question, and we can say for I in D1, we can start out with D1 logically. If I not in D, so I is a key in this instance. I is going to be just a key. So then D, I, so we can just say that's going to be the key because I is the key. Then the value would be the value corresponding to the key in D1. So D1.I. I hope that made sense. If not, I suppose you should read some basics or try to just brainstorm about it, because when I first practiced questions like this, it was really confusing. But anyways, if I is not in D, we just add that value and the corresponding value, add that key and the corresponding value, sorry. But then we want to merge the dictionaries, so it implies, and we can also review the examples, all keys in both objects are actually common. So we can actually create another for loop. So we can just this time say for k in D2, if k in D, because, well, as we can see, it is going to be in D because we're merging these dictionaries. It should just add on, I think. Yeah, it's supposed to add on. In dictionaries, this is something really tricky, at least for me, where we need to use the dot update built-in function, but I always find it a bit tricky. So if k is in D, we're supposed to update something. I think we're supposed to update the value because the keys are going to be in common. So dk dot update, and within this bracket, wait, dk, because how the update function works is the beginning should be a function and the inside the bracket part should also be a dictionary. Sorry, I said function, I think I meant dictionary. So they both should be dictionaries. But honestly, I think I'm just going to try it out and see how this works. I know most likely it's going to be wrong, but let's see. And update the value of k. So d2k, I would think like this logically, but I mean the update function is always confusing, and it's dictionaries, which is also confusing. And it's true actually, okay. I see. Interesting. dk. So d dot k, d dot k for k in d2. So that's just, hold on, let's see. That's just the key. And d dot k, oh, I understand, I think. The reason why this works is, surprisingly enough, in this case, dk is actually a dictionary itself. I know it doesn't look like a dictionary itself because we have for k in d2, which is a key, it's not a dictionary. And if k is in d, we have to update it. But think about it like this. Here, we consider the fact that k is in d2. So let's say we had S60. Well, S60 is already added to our new dictionary. So we have this where S60 is already in there. So dk is actually a dictionary itself, if you get what I mean. And d2k is actually the value pair, which is, as you can see, the value pair is the dictionary itself. But I was still confused about this part. I don't really get. For a second, I feel like I got why it's logical, but now I kind of don't get it. Let me think a bit more. You can just skip over in the video if you already understood it. I'm trying to understand this myself. I mean, I did it correct because I just followed my gut feeling. dk.update. dk. How is dk a dictionary? I swear there's a rule that this has to be a dictionary. I mean, this. And inside the bracket also has to be a dictionary. Okay, d2.k, I get it. It's this part, which is a dictionary itself. But dk. Oh, I get it. Okay, here the dk is actually, yes, it's the key. But here we're actually updating the dictionary because dk, yes, we're using the key, but the easiest way to explain this is like this, I think. If you understood this part, you're going to understand this part as well. Here we said di is equal to d1I. So on the right-hand side, it automatically, even if we're using the key I, it takes the value. That's how dictionaries work. So here we have the same case. dk, it actually takes the key, but then dk makes it so that Python takes the value pair into consideration. And the value pair is a dictionary, as we know. We added it here. in this part is probably going to be Brandon Volvo. But then update D2K is going to be here, D2K type and set on. Then we're just going to update function is going to make it so that it appends it. Okay, I understood it now. We can move on. I hope that made sense to you too. Let me uncomment the print statements. All right. Write a Python function add up d1, d2 that returns the union of two dictionaries with numerical values. If a key appears in both dictionaries, its values are added up. Okay. At least to me, it sounds easier than the previous question. So let's define this function. Define add up d1 and d2. And as usual, you now get the drill. Let's create another dictionary. D is equal to dictionary. Okay. We're going to get the union of the two dictionaries. Okay. Well, we're going to follow a similar process to the previous question. You're going to see lots of similarities. But then the only difference is going to be, that if a key exists in our new dictionary already, we want it so that the value of the value in the second dictionary that corresponds to that specific key is added onto the value corresponding to the key in our new dictionary. Maybe that makes no sense right now, but I'll explain it later as we're doing it. So the same logic for I in D1, so we're checking over the keys. If I not in D, DI is equal to D1 I. That is exactly the same as the previous exercise. Now, obviously, we're first taking into account the first dictionary, so there's not going to be any circumstance where an element of the first dictionary does exist in a brand new dictionary. So we don't have to consider the other case. So we can just go into the other one, the other dictionary. For K in D2, if K not in D, we're going to do the same. dk is equal to d2k. But now we have to consider a different option where k already exists in our dictionary, and that would mean we actually need to add up the values. And so else if k in D, we have to say dk is equal to, oh my god, dk. Well, dk is going to take the value because it already exists. Think about it like that. Imagine we have a value e is equal to 30 and we added it to our dictionary, and then now we're going to another dictionary and we have e is equal to 60. But when I said e is equal to 30, we already added it to our new dictionary. So we have to make it so d is equal to 60 is added to e is equal to 30. So dk is going to give us the value of our 30 because dk just initially looks at what we already have. It looks in our new dictionary and it has the 30 plus the new value, which is also, did I make a mistake for k in D2? No, I didn't. The value in D2, so D2k. I think this is how it's supposed to be, but it's dictionaries, as I said, and I always make silly mistakes. So let's see if I've done it correctly. The print statements are here. And, well, wow, surprisingly, they are correct. All right. Well, I hope this was clear. I get it, especially the last 3 questions are quite tricky, but the point of these exercises are so that there is an increase in difficulty as we go on. And as I said in the beginning of the video, I'm pretty sure, I suggest you actually solve these yourself with me. Okay, let's move on. Last question, I think. Yes, correct. And as usual, let's uncomment these. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. All right. Write a Python function, merge list of dictionaries that merges two lists of dictionaries by a specified attribute key. All right. So this is very tricky. This is a very difficult question. Like, I suppose if you're having no difficulty whatsoever doing this question, you're pretty good with dictionaries. And if you're preparing for your exams, I don't think you're gonna have any challenge whatsoever in regards to dictionaries. But let's attempt it. So we have lists of dictionaries. List of dictionaries. List of dictionaries. I'm thinking if I should approach this in a list aspect or a dictionary aspect. That's confusing, but that's okay because you can just create both, and then if you realize it doesn't work for you, you can just delete it. So dictionary is equal to dictionary, and then list is equal to this. Okay. So for I in LD1, let's make it like that. For I in LD1, so if we look at LD1, it is going to be this thing. The I, so the first iteration is going to be a dictionary itself. Okay. I suppose we need to approach this from a list aspect, so we need to add these to a new list. So I suppose Aldo append, is it? Or can I have a dictionary in a dictionary? I'm pretty sure I can. Actually, let's approach this from a dictionary perspective. So I'm going to use D. I hope it's correct. If I not in D, I think that's how it goes. D dot key the key. So it's going to make it so that key is equal to I. So within a dictionary, so let's say our key is car, it's going to say the car and then a value pair, another whole dictionary. I think that works. That merges two lists of dictionaries. Okay, let's just keep going. For K in LD2, if K not in D, is equal to K. Else, so if it is in a dictionary, the key, so that's already a dictionary, dot update updated with LD2. Okay. Also, I think updates was written in this format. That's really important. Let me double check. Yeah. And then we want to convert list of the key dot values. I'm unsure. I'm like sure that it's gonna be wrong. Yeah, okay. Well, we got our first error in the video. Cannot use dictionary as a dictionary key. We have an error. If I not in the what I said, if I key not in the, would that still be an error? Okay. Okay, well, that's good. We don't have any errors anymore. But we're still getting false. I mean, I suppose it's still useful for you guys because it's like I'm kind of trying to deal with a problem. So you see how you actually deal with these. Let's just debug this. Okay, let's go through them. So it just says, just saves them, and then it takes the statement, and it creates an empty dictionary, right? An empty list, which we didn't use, it's irrelevant. For I in LD1, so that's just dictionaries. If I key, which is car, not in dictionary, which it isn't, the key is going to equal to car. So what we're going to end up with, I suppose, is going to be, we're going to have a dictionary, car, and then it's paired up with the whole dictionary, including the car. Yes, indeed, that's what we have here. Correct. That's actually a good sign. That means the first part of our code is working. I see. So it's actually incorrect. So what's happening is we have our key, yes, and it's adding it to the key, but then every time it iterates over the dictionary LD1, it actually reassigns the value so that the previous I is just gone now. So we have to change it so that it's the specific car key. For I in LD1, how does it not give us the specific value though? Oh, we said D key is equal to the whole dictionary, but the key is just car. So I think we have to change this part. So we have to make it so that it's DI key. Then it's going to make it specific. And we have to do the same thing here. And honestly, I don't know if this is correct here because I'm just really copying and pasting the same exact logic. LD2 K. Okay. List indices must be integers or slices, not a dictionary. So this works? This is really just trial and error at this point. Still the same problem. You have to update it. We have to update the dictionary. This gets really confusing, as you can see. I feel like I'm really close to the correct answer. The update function is so confusing. LD2 updated with LD2. That's what we're supposed to do. Then LD2 K. I swear that's what it should be. K. I don't know. I'm stuck. I'm really stuck. In that case, we can just rerun the debugging and see if we improve the code. I know it's taking a lot of time, but that's just how these complicated questions go. So let it just read these. Okay. Cool, so we have our empty dictionary. So we have car, I. So let's see what it does. So it includes the S60. Good. That's a good start. Then indeed, now it adds XC90. That is exactly what we wanted. So it's just gonna do that and add all of the different cars. So that's great. Let's see what it actually does in the second dictionary. So we have LD2, which does have the same cars we had previously. And if key is not in D, which it is, then it updates. So this is the important part. Oh, well, we get an error here anyway, so it's gonna fail. Yeah, okay. So it specifically says this is where the problem is. Let's see if this is any helpful though. So D is just this whole long dictionary. I wish I could see more of it. Why can I not? Does it even save anything useful here? LD2 key. Key is going to equal to car. LD2K is just going to be the whole dictionary. Whole dictionary. But we do not want to. Car is equal to S60. Do we want it? We do want to update the whole thing. What if it's just the key here instead? How about that? Maybe that would work. I don't know. I'm admitting it's just trial and error at this point. Key error car. Updated with another dictionary. This is so challenging. It's insane. What have I done previously? What if I say okay, we actually have the value here. But I swear we have done this previously. I'm really lost. And there we go. Still doesn't work. Okay. I hate to do this, but I think I'm gonna check what I have done incorrectly. Oh, okay, I get it. Wait, hold on. What error have you been getting? Oh, here. Okay. List of d dot values. Return list d dot values. Oh yeah, I forgot to add this. Okay, we get it correctly finally. This was so tricky. Like, I mean, I did most of it correct, except this part. I thought it was update. What mistake did I do? First, update LD2 K, I think. That's what I did initially. Because I thought we had to update the value according to LD2's value. But I'm kind of confused. Honestly, I know this is maybe not really a good way of doing it, but I'm gonna ask the AI, like, what is the reason for this? Why does this not work? But does. Well, this is gonna be a learning process for me as well. So it says because of what K actually is in your loop. For K in LD2, here LD2 is a list of dictionaries, so each iteration gives you one dictionary. For example, LD2 includes all of these things we've seen previously. During the loop, K is equal to car S60 year 2015. So K is already the dictionary, not an index. So D K key, the update LD2 key, you're trying to do LD2K, which is a dictionary, and list indices must be integers. Okay. Wait. I get it. We already did K in LD2 here. So that already considers the iteration of LD2. Here I'm actually getting the values, the value of the dictionary, not LD2. I'm just going to double check though. Is LD2K the value? Wait, that doesn't even make sense. Because key is the dictionary and LD2 is a list of dictionaries. So you cannot even iterate over it. That's illogical. So Python is trying something like, which is invalid and gives it error like, list indices must be integers or slices, not a dictionary. Bro, I get it, finally. It's because this is so complex that I didn't think the K here would be already sufficient to update the dictionary. I was just zooming into the list of dictionaries in LD2 that was already done. Okay. And yeah, we have to convert it to list because think of it like this. At the end, we have a key, which is the car's name and the dictionary, but we have a whole nother dictionary inside of it. But then if we want to merge them, like imagine here, I'm just going to edit it for the sake of it. Imagine we have something else here, like S60 corresponds to this whole nother dictionary. Well, that's not what we want. So we actually want to remove that part, which is why I have used the values part here and then converted that part to a list. Hold on, I don't know if I have to say list here. Oh, I do. Okay. I thought the values already gave you the values in terms of a list, but I guess not. Alright. Well, there it is. This was a really long video. Sorry I messed up in the last question because it was really tricky. I think I might be just going over the same question tomorrow, maybe the last three specifically, because they were so challenging. Just to, improve. It might be repetition, but we're here to study and improve, so I suppose it works. I hope it was helpful, and I don't even think anyone's gonna watch for this long, but yeah, see you for the next time.